Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of April 26th to the 30th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. All right, so coming up here in terms of our important news, we do have Bank of Japan monetary policy statement here. So the important thing that we'll have to keep in mind here would be the whole recovery right now, and also inflation is starting to become a problem or a concern that central banks will have to start worrying about, with the cost of everything going up because of the oversupply of money right now, or the money that has been pumped into the markets. So because of that, we did see Bank of Canada excuse me. We saw Bank of Canada switch their forward guidance from 2023. They said they won't raise taxes till, they won't raise interest till 2023, and now they have pulled it back to 2022. And this is something that we may see with other central banks as well. When a central banker or central bank issues that type of forward guidance, that means that currency is likely to go up or will go up as a result of that change in monetary policy. So they won't change it suddenly. They will start giving forward guidance because they don't want markets to completely change direction. So we have seen Bank of Canada, usually Bank of Canada doesn't do anything or usually follows the Fed. But this time Bank of Canada is going in before the Fed has changed the direction with their monetary policy. So, but I think we are likely to see more central banks do that. So keep that in mind. So we have Bank of Japan monetary policy statement. So that's what we're looking out for. What is their forward guidance in terms of managing the monetary policy? Are they going to continue the same monetary policy, or at some point, or when are they looking to make changes to it? And then we have Bank of Japan press conference, consumer confidence numbers here from the US. So at this point, we are expecting to see consumer confidence numbers go up. So if we do see a positive result, something that's higher than that or the same, we are going to we will see a positive impact from that. So we may actually see a positive impact in the stock market from these numbers that come out. So US dollar may not do as well, but we'll watch out. So stock market has been back and forth here over the last little while. There are concerns and then market turns around. So right now markets are choppy. We don't have a clear direction on the market. So we'll have to be careful. It's just an interesting time right now. Anyway, so we have CPI numbers here. These are the inflation numbers. Like I said, if the inflation starts to come in higher than expected, so if it's a little bit higher, it's okay. If it's substantially higher, that will be a concern, because then we'll be looking at Australian or Bank of Australia, Reserve Bank of Australia, I should say, to increase their interest rates as well. And then we have OPEC meetings here. The important thing would be to keep an eye out for any comments in regards of production, opening up the production for oil, and it's likely it will have an impact on the price of oil. So we'll keep that in mind. We have retail sales numbers here. FOMC here, this will be very important. Again, we're just looking for that forward guidance in regards to the monetary policy here. On Thursday, we have GDP numbers for the quarter. They're supposed to be good. If that is the case, we're likely to see the US dollar go up. Chinese PMI numbers with China here, Australia and New Zealand tend to benefit as well if the Chinese numbers come in well. And then we have Swiss National Bank here. So in this case, again, it will have an impact if they are making any changes to the monetary policy. But Switzerland doesn't like to do that, or they don't really want to go tighten it. So we're not like, I would not expect too much of a tightening from them at this point. All right, so let's go take a look at our charts now. We'll start off as usual with euro dollar. Euro has gone up in the last week here, last 3 weeks. It has been very positive here for euro. So with this one here, still looking bullish. The momentum is increasing. Now we are coming into some resistance, so watch out for that. We are right into this support resistance level here. So bias here is bullish. Watch out for a bit of pullback towards, we may even go into 2020 or 1.2050. And then I'm looking for a further move to the upside. So bias here is bullish for euro dollar, and 1.2225 is the target here. So bullish bias for euro dollar. Okay, pound dollar here. Pound hasn't done as well. Now it is into the top of this range it's been trading in for some time. This is looking neutral. We do have a pin here, but price is still stuck in this range. So we may see a bit of a push higher and a drop, or we may see a retest of the high, and then if it fails, a move back into the range. But it has been stuck in this range for several weeks now. So I'm looking for a range bound move here. So neutral bias here for pound dollar. Aussie dollar, this one here as well is also, our Aussie dollar is also stuck in a range here. This is the range that we are looking at this point. It could go in either direction. It does have this previous bullish bias to the upside, but it hasn't really, we haven't seen a follow through in that. At this point, again, we have a bit of a pin bar here. So looking for a potential retest or even the potential retest of the high here, and then a move back into the range. So essentially looking for a range bound move here for our Aussie dollar as well. So neutral bias for Aussie. New Zealand dollar, this one's a little bit more bullish than Australian dollar. However, as we can see, price is coming into resistance. Now it can go higher. So watch out for that. It does have that bullishness. So neutral to bullish bias here. First target is 0.7250 and 0.7300. So at this point, looking bullish. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD is bearish. As we can see, price has just been getting stuck at this resistance level here. So this is where we see price getting stuck at. So last few weeks here, price has bounced off of this level. Now, keep in mind, it's right into support here as well, and has not been able to break through the support. So this will be another test here. If it can break through, then we are looking for a continuation to the downside. So bias is bearish with caution though, because we could see problems here. If it doesn't bounce or get through the support, it could turn around and go back into this range. So this one here as well has been trading in a range sideways. So bias bearish, we need to see a drop and then a continuation. Target is 1.2370, but again, just watch out for the support here. Euro pound here, euro pound pushing into the resistance once again. Last time it failed here. Now this week's candle close is quite strong, but again, it has not been able to go through the resistance yet. So it's neutral to bullish. If it fails here, because it can fail, then we're looking back or looking for a move back into the range. So I would say neutral to bullish with caution though, because of this resistance. Once it crosses through, then we're looking for those levels higher. So we'll watch those on our daily. Euro Swiss franc here. This one is still stuck in a range. We see that price bounced off of the support level here, and now we're seeing a move back up here. So bias is neutral to bullish, still within the range. That's why it's neutral, but looking for a move towards 1.10990 and then 1.1120. Basically looking for a move back towards the top of the range. So this one is also neutral to bullish. So this is sort of what I'm looking for. Okay. Overall, this one as well is bullish in the long term. sorry, this is bullish in the long term, but it hasn't seen that. We haven't been able to see the follow through. For this follow through, we'll have to see a break and then a move higher, but that hasn't materialized yet. So we are still in this range and we will look for a move back towards the top of the range. Pound Swiss franc here, this one not looking that great in terms of the bullishness here. So we had that initial move to the downside, price dropped, and now looking for a continuation to the downside. Keep in mind, this support is a strong support. Last two times here, price wasn't able to get through, so that could cause problems. So we do have, though, we do have a nice bearish pin bar. Just be mindful of the support. So bearish bias 1.2630 is the first target, and then 1.2575 is the second target, and 1.2520. So we could even just do 1.2520 is the next target here. Bearish bias just with a slight caution here into the support level. Oops. Okay, dollar Swiss franc here. This one is still looking bearish. We see price drop nicely here, and we saw a continuation from the previous time. It did a nice back test into the previous resistance and then dropped from there. So this move here is getting filled now. So I'm looking for a continuation back lower towards 0.9085. So bias is bearish, and then 0.9050. So bearish bias for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen here, this one has been a little choppy as well. We saw a big pullback, and now this is where we are. So overall, still sideways here. It's been trading in this range for several weeks now. So I'm looking for a drop towards 148.50. So still range bound, neutral to bearish. And this is where we could see price turn around and go back towards the resistance level here. So right now, bias is neutral to bearish, looking for a drop towards 148.50. And then a potential reversal. We'll follow up on that, or we'll monitor it on the daily. Euro yen here, this one has been stuck in this range for a number of weeks now. It hasn't really been able to go through. It's been trying to push through. It does have that overall bullish bias, but it has failed to go through. And this is where the bullishness hasn't really, it hasn't shown us that it has that momentum to continue. It is pushing into it, which means it could break out. Once it breaks out, then we have plenty of room for it to go higher towards 133.50. But we have to wait for it to go through, because right now we could see one of these moves back. So watch out for this here. Right now, neutral to slightly bullish bias, but it's contingent on it breaking the resistance. So once it breaks out 132, but otherwise I'm looking for a move back into the range here. So neutral to slightly bullish bias for euro yen. Dollar yen here, this one has been bearish, but it does have that rejection here. So this is where we'll have to watch out. It's into support here. So if it fails to go through, it can go back up again. But for now, bearish bias. And once we see a break, only then we're looking for a continuation towards 107. So bearish bias for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, this one has also been stuck in the sideways range here for last few weeks. Hasn't really been able to make much headway in either direction. It's still stuck here. It's still, for the last 4 weeks, it's just been neutral, completely sideways move. So at this point, looking for price to show us direction. And this is the larger range here. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Right now, neutral bias, I'm looking for it to trade in a range still. New Zealand yen, this one is similar here as well. We see price is stuck in a range here. So market just doesn't seem to have clear direction at this point. Everybody is waiting for something to happen. So in this case, we have a neutral bias. Again, price is sideways here, and we could get a retest of the high, but it may fail. So look for that move back into the range here. So this is neutral as well for New Zealand yen. CAD yen here, this one did benefit from that positive comments in regards to tightening of the monetary policy in Canada, which pushes the currency higher, but then it did drop because Japanese yen did well because the stock markets were dropping. Anyway, so now it has turned around because stock markets turned around. So at this point, this is neutral. We do have bearishness in it, but we also have this rejection from the support. What I'm looking for here would be a bit of a retest here, potentially of 86. If it fails, we are back. And this one is also range bound. The actual range it's been trading in is this one here, and it's still there, hasn't really made much progress. So I'm looking for a bit of a retest towards 86. If it fails, then looking for that move back into the range. So neutral bias for CAD yen as well. All right, so let's take a look at our commodities. We'll start off with silver here. Silver hasn't done much. It is also range bound. So this is just the market seems to be range bound right now. Similar setup here as we saw in one of the other crosses. I will look for a potential retest higher, slightly higher, and then we may see a drop back down here. Again, for several weeks, it's been stuck in this range. So I'm looking for a range bound move for this week as well. So till we get a real something to move the market, we are likely to see these range bound moves still. With gold here, it did try to go higher, but we are looking at a neutral candle close. Price opened and closed at exactly the same place. So it doesn't have momentum. Again, we are stuck in a range. So looking for a range bound move for this one here as well. Back into the range towards 1750 and then 1700 level here. Oil also sideways here, as we can see. This is the range it's been trading in. There's this wider one, but this is where it's stuck right now. It failed to go through this resistance at 64.30, and now we are back into this range. So bias again neutral. I'm expecting a range bound move here for oil as well. Copper here, copper is breaking higher though. This is looking bullish. Next target is 4.32, and it may go potentially into 4.38 towards that. So this one was range bound for some time, and now it's broken out of the range. It's holding. So we are seeing that move to the upside here. So we have this continuation pattern. Price was sideways, and now it's broken out. And this is sort of what we're waiting on for the other ones. So either we see a continuation pattern or a reversal. Those other ones are stuck. This one has gone through. So with this one, we could see another leg higher here, something like this. So bias here is bullish for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin current price at 50,000. And now this is interesting. So this is where price is stuck now. We are into, it did come all the way down into 47,000, and then it's back into this range at this point. This one also, it's been back and forth. So there was some reports that said that the government agencies in the US were going to crack down on this one because of the money laundering issues tied with the cryptos. Now it's still sideways, doesn't really have direction. So I would say neutral bias here. We'll have to watch it. It seems to be, after this whole big move here, seems to be losing a bit of momentum. It could come back down. So we'll have to be careful with this one. It could, if the selling pressure comes in, if the stock market starts to sell off, this is likely to be negatively impacted by that sell off as well. So keep an eye on the stock market, because both of these are tied together. So right now I'm neutral on this. I'm not quite bearish yet, just neutral for now. S&P 500, this one has also been choppy. The entire move here, for the week, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No clear direction at this point. It is holding on to that bullishness. This one also had a bullish move. Now we are in that sideways move here. Once it breaks out, we could see that continuation higher. So we could get, again, the same thing that we were looking at with the other one here. It's setting up right now, hasn't finished. So this is the move that we could get. This is a continuation, bullish continuation flag pattern, but for now, not quite ready yet. It could just as easily turn around and come back into the range. So for now, neutral to bullish bias, but not quite bullish here yet. So it's still into the resistance, and then we'll see if it will continue. Next target would be 42.20 and then 42.50 for S&P 500. So neutral to bullish. Nasdaq here, this one has also been going, it's been so choppy here, back and forth. So every single day it just turns direction. So right now on Friday here we did have that bullish candle close. It's pushing right into the resistance. It did reject that support level, but again it hasn't broken through the resistance yet, and because of that we have to be cautious because it could just come back down. So for now, neutral bias for this one. Once it breaks through, then we will look for that continuation move towards 14,350 and then potentially higher. But until then, we have to wait. So neutral bias here. Dow Jones, it's exact same move here for the last 4 days, 5 days. It's been stuck here in this range, and every single day it's changing direction. So it's flip-flopping right now, which doesn't show a lot of conviction in either direction. So right now I would say neutral bias. Once it goes through the resistance, through the high here at 34,260, then we will look for a continuation. But until then, neutral bias here as well. DAX is also stuck in a similar move. We had that, or a pattern, I should say. We had that initial move higher, and for the last couple of weeks here, we are basically here. Nothing has really changed. So at this point, there is bearishness in this one. So we'll have to see which direction it breaks out into, and that's the direction we'll follow. But until then, this is neutral as well. FTSE here is very similar behavior in across the board here. So in this case, we do have that bearishness, and I will look for, we could see a drop here, but if it fails here at 68.50, we are back. And overall, the move still is bullish. So watch out for the support level. As long as it holds above 68.50, then we'll look for that continuation higher. Even though there's bearishness in this candle, we have to wait and see a confirmation before going all in here. So bias is neutral for FTSE as well. And then Nikkei here, Nikkei has been crazy as well. We saw that drop, and now it came into the support here, and it's also trading in a big range here. So going to the weekly, as we can see, price has just been struggling. So many pins to the bottom here, but it hasn't been able to get through either. So neutral bias, I'm expecting a move in this range here. Not really expecting a breakout just yet. So we need to see some sort of something that will move the market, some sort of stimulus that will move the market. I don't mean like monetary stimulus, but just something that will cause the market to move. So right now it's just in that holding pattern and waiting. So this is neutral here as well, and I'm looking for a range bound move here. All right, any questions here before we wrap up? All right, so no questions. So we'll wrap it up here. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I'll be back with the daily analysis on the YouTube channel. So make sure you check out. Bye for now.